Get straight into ULEZ. And David, this is coming in with a vengeance now.
Well, it is. So it's being expanded. So we see here in the map the 2021 ULEZ zone, and it's now been pushed out in 2023 all the way basically to the M25, out to the outskirts of London. And well, how is that going? It transpires not well. So we have the BBC reporting here, more than 300 cameras damaged or stolen in 4 months. And we're talking about cameras being removed, damaged, obscured. And on an unofficial data mapping, the location of disabled cameras suggests that actually it's almost 500 cameras which have been affected. And if we go to that unofficial map, I encourage people to have a look at this online, Julie's ULEZ map, and you see the little black pins, and the little black dots are cameras which are no longer there or are no longer working. First impression here is obviously look at the number of cameras there are. There's a huge number of them, but many are no longer functioning. So what are the authorities doing to quell this civil disobedience? Well, they're threatening them with severe police action, because that's what a police state does. Met Police here, The Guardian reports, vows to combat protests against London's ULEZ rollout. Notice how The Guardian isn't defending the protesters in this particular case. The Guardian passes no comment about the severity of the crackdown on any protests. It's quite happy. It says threats of violence as ultra-low emission zone expands, begins, but the mayor defends all this as essential for health. And the police have said they're going to use considerable resources to protect the expansion amid fears of a spike in vandalism, well, there has been this, and disruptive protests. The force's declaration came as London Mayor Sadiq Khan issued a fierce defence of the bitterly contested policy, saying he was acting to tackle toxic air and prevent the capital's children growing up with stunted lungs. And you'll see here how all of the language is hyperbolic and very alarmist. This is how they sell these policies. There is no logic and no calmness and no reason. And how is this hyperbolic language playing in southeast London? If we look back at the map here, we will see not well at all. In southeast London, most of the cameras are no longer functioning, thanks to some very brave people removing them. And it's not just individual action to tackle the cameras themselves. There's legal action going on. So the Sun here reports on the 27th of August, the ULEZ is illegal. The hated expansion of the ULEZ is in chaos after the landmark legal ruling that the signage is unlawful and you can get your money back. So if you've been fined, please ask for your money back and let us know how that goes. London Mayor Sadiq Khan's hated scheme was in chaos, all due to scaffolder Noel Wilcox. He was hit with £11,500 in penalties, and he won a ruling that the key signs weren't lawful. He said the Road Traffic Act states that if there's a risk that motorists are going to be charged, you have to let them know. But the low emission zones just say ULEZ. They don't make it clear about the charges. So he's won a case. There's another case now happening in Scotland. The same policies have been run out in Glasgow. And this is now going to go for judicial review. So Scotsman reports here that the judge has given the green light for the court action. And this is going to be a full judicial review, and it's going to go to court in October. After the judge said the case had a real prospect of success. So Glasgow became the first Scottish city to introduce the low emission zones at the end of 2018 in a bid to improve air quality around the most heavily congested roads, with the regulations initially aimed at buses. Again, we have the same hyperbolic language. Environmentalists have hailed the move, which say will help cut unnecessary deaths and provide breathable air. And similar schemes are coming to Edinburgh, Dundee and Aberdeen. Businesses in Glasgow, however, have launched a case. They say that the scheme disproportionately penalises poorer people, the elderly and those with disabilities, and they've called the scheme hugely detrimental and redundant because the air quality had already improved through the measures against diesel buses. Lady Poole, she's allowed the case to go ahead, saying it raises important matters of public interest, which include wider issues of air quality and climate change, which underlie the matters discussed. And the man who generated this auto repair centre, you notice how it's all ordinary people who are bringing these challenges. It's not magistrates, it's not lawyers, it's ordinary men and women who are fighting back. So this is William Payton, who runs an auto repair centre in Townhead. He said, without fines, there are no low emission zones, and it can be shown that the air quality targets were met. They achieved the goals in 2022, so we don't need them. So, Brian, what do you think of this example of people power using the courts and using unconventional means?
Because people have got to stand up and make something happen because their opinion simply isn't wanted. We had an incident a little while ago in Glastonbury when people were standing up to speak out about 15-minute cities, and the mayor was regarding those people just as a mob. Their opinions were valueless. And I think the same thing's going on here on a much bigger scale. This is the edict about future cities. And that policy is going to be put in place. And we've now got the police working alongside the government. This is a fascist state, is it not, which is driving this agenda?
This is the issue. It's a police state. It's police enforcing unpopular laws that are not the will of the people, that can't be justified with any basis of reason or logic. They are only justified by hyperbolic political language and police enforcement and threats. And they are receiving the lack of popularity that they deserve.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Of course, speed cameras were attacked in the early days, but then those attacks seem to drop off. But we'll see what happens in this case. Of course, UK column couldn't condone any form of unlawful activity, but the key thing is that people are making their voices heard. Mark, this is